Welcome to The Naomi Show. Hello there and welcome to The Naomi Show. Today we're looking at men who have a problem with commitment, and specifically what a woman should do if she's been going out with a man for a substantial amount of time. And while when they first started dating he seemed very open to marriage and commitment, many years down the track he's still stalling. Well, psychologist Eve Ash joined me to talk about what might be going on in these kinds of relationships and what a girl can do about it.
It's a really interesting one because you can go two ways, and I think it's important to go back to the woman and look at, well, why does she need to get married? What is it in her that needs, that need for security is so strongly there? Because while she's focused on what she can't have, she's not going to be enjoying herself in the relationship, and she's going to be constantly disappointed.
It's a funny one though, isn't it? Because some women just want to get married, and there are a lot of men who do too. I mean, there's plenty of married couples out there, so it's obviously happened before. So what does a girl do if it's really important to her and she's been with a guy like that?
I guess you don't wait 10 years, and very early in the relationship you talk generally about people's attitudes. What's my attitude? What's your attitude to marriage? You know, have you been married before? How did it go? A lot of times people don't want to get married because they've had a bad experience in the past. So I think it's important to know right up front what the person's attitude is, and to say, okay, this person loves me, loves being with me, but does not like marriage. How important is it? Is it a deal breaker?
At the same time though, you'll hear these stories, and I was reading about one just the other day, where a girl was saying, look, when we first started going out, he seemed really open to marriage. Yes, absolutely, it's all on the cards. And then as time went by, there's all these different excuses came in. There's not enough money, all these different excuses. What would you say about that sort of situation?
Well, I would say if for the girl it is so important to be married, so very, very important, and this is causing a real rift, she's going to be increasingly unhappy. And I would say you need to think about ending the relationship.
It's a matter of, are you compatible? Because if you really want to be married, it's very important to you. And to some men, it is important to be married too, as well, isn't it?
Yeah, but I think less so these days. I think that a lot of people are really excited by just being in the relationship, and a lot of people are now having children and then later considering getting married, simply so the child has, you know, married parents, but even then they're not getting married.
And at the end of the day, I guess marriage is not a guarantee of fidelity or long life for a relationship, is it?
No, and in fact, I have a view that once you're married, the next step is divorce. Whereas if you're not married,
there's nowhere else to go if you're going to change anything.
That's right. Whereas if you're not married, there's always the possibility that you might get married. And I think you can have a really loving relationship where people are at different stages, either wanting marriage or not wanting marriage. But if it is obvious that one person doesn't want it, I think the other person either has to live with it and put it aside and say, okay, it's not going to be important, or if it's that important, then they may need to move on. I mean, a lot of women want to get married because it's related to having children. So they want to be married because they want to have children. And so what could be at the heart of this issue for the guy is, if I get married, then the next step is having children, and I don't want to go there. So that needs to be, those kind of views need to be worked out early in the piece.
Equally, it could be they're making excuses because they're looking at what else might come along.
Well, if it's been 10 years, it's a strange one.
Really?
Yeah, I think so.
Well, that's really good advice. Thank you very much, Eve.
Thank you.
And we'll see you next time. Your love life, let's talk about it at naomishow.com.